Hi there, Michelle Richmond here. I wanted to connect with you and answer the question which many people ask me is, why am I so passionate about self-love? Why is my work focused on you being the most brilliant expression of yourself, a living legacy? Why the Wild Love Intelligence program? What on earth is all this stuff about self-love about, and why is it so important to you? I guess my relationship with self-love personally started with my own realization when many years ago, actually nearly 20, quite horrifyingly, I bumped into my own health experience, and in my life I had had one potential disaster, one opportunity for growth, one challenge after another, and dramatic ones, losing everything, losing my marriage, losing myself. And that's where self-love came into the game, because little did I realize up until that point that I had no relationship with self-love, in fact. And self-value and self-worth, they weren't even in the conversation or in my awareness. And through my own health experience, and I had just done a course in working with intuition and setting my intent and getting clear about what my intent was through my health journey. What I found was, yes, I did all the juicing, I meditated, I did saunas, I did all of these external things to align my mind, body and soul, to expand my health and get my body in a condition where it could heal itself. But the one thing, the most probably confronting thing that I was completely unaware of, was my relationship with myself. And that self-love was not even in the game. It wasn't even in the room. And I could see when I started to do this work on myself, and I looked back through my life experience, how the lack of self-love and the lack of self-value and the lack of self-worth had motivated me to make a whole lot of decisions based on neediness, wanting to be valued, wanting to be worthy. And of course, they didn't turn out very successfully, I can assure you. But there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because as Bruce Lipton said, you're unaware until you become aware. And once you become aware there is another way of living and being, then you know that you have choice. And I can assure you that 20 years ago, I would not have said to you, I would be sitting here talking to you, or I would have had the amazing life I've had for the last 20 years. Doesn't mean there hasn't been challenges, there sure has, but the way that I've approached them and moved through them has been very, very, very different. So why is self-love so important? So here's my experience. When you learn to love yourself, you make decisions from a different place. You make decisions based on what's right for you rather than what's right for everybody else. You find new boundaries where you can say yes and say no. And instead of making decisions to be valued, to be seen as worthy, to be loved, you make decisions based on present time truth. Right? You base decisions in the present moment based on truth. So when self-love is in the room, you feel better in your body, right? Because you don't have all these hidden emotions and this anger, and there's not all this covert stuff going on unconsciously or consciously in your awareness in your day-to-day life. So when you're more loving to yourself and you let go of guilt and shame and unworthy and unvalued, you can be more present in your body. And when you're more present in your body, you can be more present in your life, right? There's heaps of blah blah about presence, and believe me, I'm a #1 advocate of presence. But here's where we have to go first. First of all, you have to be able to be comfortable in your body, because you're accepting of who you are and you're loving of who you are, then in that place you can make decisions based in the now, right? Because if you're uncomfortable with who you are and you're uncomfortable because you've got all this squashed down emotion, you don't want to be in your body because it's not comfortable being here. So you make decisions with your mind, that your mind then goes into the past. Oh, last time this happened, I chose this, then this happened, that was a disaster, so if I do this, it's going to be a disaster again. So being present in your body, when you are more self-loving to you, it's easier to be more present in your body. It's easier to be connected with the here and the now, and it's easier to connect with the truth, your truth, not someone else's truth, your truth. Because when self-love's in the room, you value yourself enough to say yes to the things that are right for you. And through that, here's the most powerful thing I've ever learned. Through that, what happens is when you can say yes to the things that are right for you, you realize that when you say what's right, yes to what's right for you, you can say, let me backtrack a second. When you say yes to what's right for you, then you can trust that it's right for everybody else. Because there's a beautiful teacher of mine who I cherish, Sai Ma, says, how can you make decisions that are right for anyone else when we hardly know what's right for ourselves? So get that, right? It's really important. When you are self-loving enough, self-accepting, owning your worth and your value, and you know that it's safe and you are free to make the decisions that are right for you, then you can trust that those decisions are right for everybody else. I have to tell you, this is a one-on-one that changed my relationship with my children. Because at this point, I realized I was making decisions that I thought, if I do this, they'll be happier. Yet, at the end of the day, it cost me and they weren't happy. So changing this realization that when I value myself enough, when I love myself enough, and I trust that if I make the right decision for me, it will be right for everybody else. That one is a game changer of life. So what else about self-love I can tell you? Going through the health experience. So when people come knocking on your door offering to help, because I decided at that point I was an independent, strong, powerful woman. I didn't need anybody. I was going to do life on my own, and here I was in a situation where I actually needed love and I needed support. So when there is self-love in the room, you are free to open the door and say, yes, thank you, you're able to receive love, right? Because when you're not loving to yourself, it's very hard to receive love from other people because you feel unworthy, in whatever form that love takes. So you have the capacity to receive love. And there's a beautiful thing that I have become aware of through working with people is I have this process that I do where you send love to someone. I won't go into it. And you explore how and where they're open in their body to receiving love. And I was working with someone one day who had cancer and sending them love and opening up the channel so they could receive love. And when they opened up those channels to receive love, what happened was the energy went into their body, out of their crown and back into me. So when you learn to receive and to receive love, there is this connection, this deep connection and this energy flow, this circle of energy that comes into play. So your connection is more authentic and more real with people when self-love is in the room. It means that the decisions that you are making are also authentic and truthful. So the energy... Oh, hi, there's a tuk-tuk just bringing my workers to work, I think. How hysterical. There are so many values and there's so much power to owning self-love. And self-love in all of its forms. You know, I worked with a very high-level corporate CEO, and believe me, at 50, he was 50-something, we were working on his value, and he realized how in his consultancy business, he had made a whole lot of decisions about roles that he took and work that he took on, and not allowing others to step into their greatness based on his wanting to be valued. And there was no payoff, because he was making decisions about doing things seeking value, unbeknownst to him, by the way. And what was happening was, in fact, he wasn't being valued. So his external, we create our own reality. So whilst he was seeking to be valued, what his experience was that he was not being valued in his work, in his family, and that story kept playing back to him. So when you're open to stepping up and expanding your experience of self-love, your life changes. Your immune system becomes stronger because you're less stressed, you're making authentic present time decisions, your health improves, your relationship and ability to connect improves, how you show up at work and lead your team changes. Who you are changes in the most unique and experienced ways. And I can tell you, if I had said 20 years ago that my life would be anything like it is now, I wouldn't have believed you. There is an unwritten script. There is an undeniable benefit to how inviting more self-love into your life changes who you are, what you do, and what you create. That's it from me this morning. Have a magical day wherever you are in the world, and remember, be the most brilliant expression of yourself, no matter what you're doing. Lots of love from me. Bye.